All right, welcome. Going to discuss the final standings of the NHL and the pre-trade deadline predictions I made and what the rationale was to that. First, shout out to Vegas for me predicting them to win the Pacific Division and them missing the playoffs altogether. So I'm wearing a Vegas jersey because Jesus. Also, Seattle's first season, historic season. Love Seattle. Really pumped about the future of this team. Thus the hockey gear. Let's dive into it. So this was done before the trade deadline, and it was an active trade deadline. A lot of moves were made. This was done after the Tyler Toffoli deal, I believe, in Calgary, but a majority of the moves were still yet to come. So essentially, these are them. Calgary, I don't know why I listed it as CAL. I'm almost positive it's CGY, but Calgary is Cal because that's just how I wrote it. Metropolitan Division, I had Carolina, Pittsburgh, New York Rangers. Atlantic Division, I had Florida, Toronto, Tampa, with Boston being the first wild card, Washington being the second wild card. At this time, we pretty much knew who was going to make the playoffs that early in the season in the Eastern Conference. The only differences that happened was that the Rangers and the Penguins swapped spots in the standings, so their matchup will be a little different than what I had predicted, but it is what it is. Pittsburgh kind of got on a cold streak, and Shesterkin just didn't stop being great. Both teams made excellent trade deadline acquisitions, so I don't think that really affected their spots in the standings too much. The Rangers have tightened up significantly on defense and have focused on their defensive play and are playing better defense than they were at this point, and that's why I had the Rangers below Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh was shown to win without their star players, and then when their star players got back, they continued winning. So I thought Pittsburgh was just going to finish ahead of the Rangers. I thought the Rangers weren't going to finish strong, and here we are. I'm wrong. But the rest of the Eastern Conference, same as predicted. Western Conference and the Central, I had the Avs topping the Central with Minnesota Wild, and then the St. Louis Blues. Pittsburgh, I had the Vegas Golden Knights winning, thus the Vegas. Calgary in second, LA Kings in third, with Nashville having the first wild card spot, Dallas having the second wild card spot. Came down to the end, especially with the positioning of the wild cards. Two wild card teams from the Central Division, which is not a common thing to happen. It's kind of hard for that to happen. It kind of speaks to the strength of the Pacific Division. So really the only differences I had, Calgary wins the division instead of Vegas. Vegas doesn't make it. In Edmonton, I had Edmonton completely missing it. I thought they were just going to bottom out. I didn't think there was any recovering from the point they were in. I was wrong, and they started to go on a winning streak like they did earlier in the season. And same with Calgary. Calgary found their groove that they had there early in the season. They're defending well. They're playing hard. They're scoring. They're checking. They're doing all the right things. So it's no surprise those two teams ended up there. If I were to predict Edmonton, I probably would have had them in third, and Vegas in second. But Vegas not Vegas, LA, the LA Kings. I thought the Kings were going to finish stronger. I thought they were going to have a stronger, through this point, this was kind of a surprise pick to have Vegas on the board because the Kings on the board because they weren't really a contender, or people thought they were going to drop off, and it's not like the Ducks were in the mix at this point. So I liked a lot of what I saw throughout the Kings when they were playing good hockey, and they were playing their fair share of really bad hockey too. But I figured they'd be able to kind of rein in their good hockey and make some type of playoff push. And the way they played, after that point, they went on a really great hot streak. I probably would have moved them up to second place had I known they were going to consistently stay a very deep and competitive team for a long time. Obviously, the last few weeks, injuries, they haven't really looked like themselves the past few weeks. We'll see in the playoffs. They have Dustin Brown's retirement whole ceremony thing they just had, and that could be motivation, kind of his last hurrah. But overall, I'm pretty pumped how the predictions came out. If you go back to the time I made these, the standings were, at least in the Western Conference, were all a jumble. Yeah, so it's fun. That's it. Just kind of comparing. I'm going to do playoff, kind of a bracket preview. I'm going to do a little bit of a bracket. And I might do a playoff preview. I feel like there's so much out there and there's only so much you can say in regards to a playoff preview. I'll talk about a few previews during the bracket, but you know, there's only so much you can say about, like, I don't know, a preview. If you want me to do a specific preview, like, please let me know. I'm here for it. I like looking into that stuff, but you know, at the same time, I'm gonna kind of pick and choose and go with the flow until you know, we get to that point. So we'll see. Probably have a bracket video up a little later today, and we'll go from there. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Take care. I'll see you soon, hopefully.